All right, thank you for staying with us. President Muhammadu Buhari has accused state governors of stealing funds allocated to local governments, thereby limiting development at the grassroots. He made this claim when he hosted senior executives of the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies at the presidential villa in Abuja. The president condemned the unfair treatment by state governors against the administration at the local government level. He said the governor's attitude portrayed the sort of corrupt practices perpetrated in dispensing resources meant for the masses. He blamed the situation on lack of integrity and character on the part of the governors. Now, reacting to President Buhari's accusations, governors of Benue, Kwara, Rivers, and Ebonyi states say the accusation does not apply to them. Well, joining us now is former chairman, Amuwo Odofin local government area, Lagos State, Comrade Ayodele Adewale. Good morning. Thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast. I wonder what your impressions were when you heard that statement from the president. Give us a sense of what you felt, because you have experience, you are been in the system and perhaps know what goes on. Perhaps you could give us a better insight on what the president was talking about.
Well, the president has some information on his table, and he has already reacted to this information before him, but it is not general. He must have spoken in that context, but it is not generally related. I have also watched on your program some documentaries showing some local government, particularly in the East. And you'll be amazed how conditions have degenerated. Sometimes I wonder that how could this be? Looking back to the pivotal role local government play in society, you would agree with me that without local government, there cannot be government that will be deepened to the people. If I'm not too wrong, Ikorekpene happened to be the first local government in Nigeria. Subsequently, other local government was created, like what you have in the Lagos Island. If you look at the City Hall, it was built by a local government then. You can see the kind of resources they control and how they were able to improve on their communities. Lagos is also a very good example to see how local government have functioned, especially during our time when I was local government chairman. There was a great competition, and we were indeed privileged and lucky then that was when local government funds that were seized was released, and the Lagos state government was able to aggregate all the local government to work in unison. We were monitored, especially by the Ministry of Local Government Affairs and Ministry of Budget and Planning. So we had this harmonious program where it became competitive for local government to commission projects and all of that, and people were actually seeing, you know, the derivative of the funds that were allocated and the funds that were generated, especially in Lagos State and all. So the president should also go ahead to help the system to nip the issue at the bud and get whoever that is culpable, you know, into retracting from such systems.
What were you hearing from other parts, since you said that Lagos was not part of this story? What were you hearing from other parts of the country, your local government colleagues? Because the NULG agreed with the president when the president made that statement, which means that it's actually a widespread phenomenon.
Well, as much as you would say is widespread, like I said, it's not total. There are some local states that have refused to conduct local government elections. So you ask such governors, I mean, where are the funds that are, you know, sent from the center? And of course, their own counterpart funding, because local government derive funds from the federal, the state, and the internally generated revenue. So in such states, they cannot hide behind one finger to say that they are not part of it, or they are not part of what debar development from the grassroots.
Well, I've seen local government chairmen who live in Lagos, whereas the local government is is far away. There was one who was in the east, he lived in Lagos. I saw another one in the Niger Delta who mentioned the state. He was living in Lagos. And I wonder, what kind of a country will allow somebody to live, hundreds and hundreds of miles away from where they work, and then you get a situation where local government workers, they live outside the state. They only come down to their local government offices when it's time to collect salaries.
Well, I can say for a fact that then people are docile to calling their local government chairman accountable for trust and for other sundry matters. And of course, the state also have a Ministry of Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs. Then such states are also culpable, because it is mind-boggling for you to be a leader of your community and you don't live amongst your people. It was 8 years on October the 30th when I left government as a local government chairman. I've been living in my community as far back as 1978. And I still live within the community, and that's where I will live. People must hold their elective leaders responsible for their actions.
Now, there are those who say this matter that the president raised is beginning to question the issue of true federalism, if we are really practicing that federalism. And when you look at the kind of powers the governors seem to wield to withhold, such revenues from the local governments to address issues at the grassroots and enhance development across the state.
In practice, it has nothing to do with true federalism. It has more to do with the people. People voted for these people. Either if the system is being to an advantage or not, but people voted for them. And if the people decide that they are not getting what they expected to get, especially from electoral promises, then the people should come out in protest and let people know. And you see, our society is so wonderful now that with just a cell phone, and you talk, you speak, it brings people back, to fold. And with the mass media that you guys control, like I said, I saw one that was done by Sarah Yeku, if I'm not too wrong. She went to different local governments, even down to Abuja, and she was mirroring what was there in reality. And I'm sure those people at the end of the affair did take action, if not full action. So the media, the civil society have a lot to do in making sure that things work right.
So the thing is not the question of federalism or no federalism, because I always say that people are more important than systems, and that the federal structure as it is in Nigeria, holds states responsible, and maybe that is was because of what the states have been doing, handcuffing the money that belongs to the local government. They've decided that Buhari has decided that he wants to send the money direct to local government. But even then, is that not even against how it's supposed to work? Because the states are the units of this federation.
Well, like I said, true federalism or true federalism, power belongs to the people, and the people must monitor power. They must also tend to call people to order. While I was chairman of local government, under this same system also, I had leverage to also work with the international community, because I remember that I was working with the U.S. consulate, and the consular was coming to my local government regularly. We had a health program exchange. During their independence, the U.S. Marines will come, will go to the riverine community, treat people. They even built a clinic. And I also did same with the High Commission of the UK Embassy. If you remember Peter Carter, that died in our airport here due to a heart attack. Peter Carter and I were very in sync, inclusive of the UK Embassy. And regularly we'll go to UK for training. They will come here, we had exchange programs. Even with the EU. The EU then used to send interns down to Amuja in local government every 3 months, every 6 months. We had people from Estonia, from France, from UK then, and Italy. They will come, live among people, do programs with us, even for climate change programs. So we never had limitation. It's beyond that. It's about the people occupying the office and how they are able to espouse their responsibilities, their human capital, their connections and all. So under the system, like I said, it's the people that matter and how they are able to cascade their level of accountability, holding their chairman or whoever, to account, including their state governors. And that's why we are very lucky here in Lagos that there's a room for exchange of idea, allowing you to do your things, and the governor also does not interfere because he also understands that there's separation of powers. So every local government chairman is accountable for whatever he does and all of that.
You wanted to ask a question?
Yeah, so my problem with the local government thing is that it's more fundamental. When governors decide not only to organize local government elections, but to handpick the local government chairman, what do you expect?
When you say handpicking, you need to be very descriptive, make it very simplistic. I do know.
You mean simple?
Make it very simple for my understanding and the understanding of the viewer. But I do know that within a political system, there are stages of lobbying. One, which is most fundamental, is that you lobby your constituency, people within your constituency to support you, especially in your political party. You also lobby people around the corridor of power to see that you have the well without, because it is not only about people in your constituency in the political party. You also have people that control the system. So you must be able to move around, make them see the programs that you have, and make them see that you tower above your contemporaries. Then you go through the electoral processes. And if you are very popular, then you have your
But
way.
what we have is that all over the country, a governor organizes local government election. His party wins in every local government.
Like I said, you can only rig where you are not
popular,
where you have the advantage. But in the sense of the people, if the people decide, we've seen it here in Lagos State and some other places, if the people decide that this is the person we want, regardless of what you want to do and all of that, the numbers will count. And they also monitor the numbers.
Yeah, but there's also the problem.
Are you saying invariably that governors cannot influence the decision?
I've not said that. I've only told you about the people. Okay.
No, but why is it that it is usually 100%? Even the governors themselves don't have 60% in their elections. But when it comes to local government, they have 100%.
Well, if
they are better at curing other people's headache than curing their own.
Well, if it did happen in such community, then the people allowed it to happen. I've seen.
You probably have no choice because the local government, what do you call it, the State Electoral Commission is appointed and controlled by the state governors.
I'll give you two examples. One in Kaduna State. There was an election organized by Mr. El-Rufai. An opposition party won a certain local government and he became chairman.
Yes.
In Lagos State, in Bariga area, there was a councillor of an opposition party that won.
Yeah.
So the people matter. If the people allow it to happen.
You're talking of exceptions here.
We're
talking of the general rules.
I'm only telling you that it is not total.
I agree it's not total.
And that is why I said...
Is it not a scandal that is even 80%?
Well, I won't say it's a scandal. I will only say that the people matter. The people must be mobilized enough, just like the election we're going for. The people must be mobilized enough to know that aside from God, power is in their hands. And they can determine who gets into power.
No, but what you are talking about now is the docility of the people.
Definitely.
But why is it? Can you explain what is happening? Why are the people docile about local government and not docile about gubernatorial elections? Why would they vote? Why would they accept locals that are imposed on them and interrogate the chief executive of the state?
Only recently, in some corners of Nigeria, some political parties have always been dominant. Recently, those dominant areas, we've seen change of voting pattern, that the people has woken up and they've decided not to go that route. We've seen it in the South-South, We have seen it in the southeast and some part of the north that people have said, no, we want to go this way. So it depends on political parties, it depends on the people, it depends on how you touch lives. So if you touch the life very well, they will stand by you. If you don't touch it very well and you have someone that is very grassrooted, that is ready to go all the way to make sure that the people see the program, that is
people raise
more
questions.
beneficial to
People
them.
raise questions about, federalism. So, we want federalism, we want federalism. But one of the drawbacks, the drawbacks of implementation of federalism is that the state electoral commission, if you federalize them, you make them autocracies, local autocracies of elections, democratic autocracies. Because I decide the numbers, I announce the numbers, I report to no one except the man who put me there, who is the governor.
Well, that person will be risking his political future.
Who?
Whoever that does your conclusion. But
they've never been challenged anywhere.
That is why
everybody's quiet. Everywhere in the country, whether we don't even know who the state electoral commissioners are. They always that's something they share with America and Canada and the UK. We don't know who is in charge of the election. We just know that the elections have been done. There's nobody to hold responsible, and nobody can say, unless the person comes out tomorrow and says, "Oh, I was the one that I was in charge of imposing so man as a local government chairman, so man as local government, and I did it because my Oga asked me to do so." So you wouldn't know. So which career are you? Whose career are you going to endanger when they don't even know who I am?
Well, you see the bottom.
You're almost smiling as if you understand.
No. I'm enjoying your narrative. I'm enjoying your narrative. But you see the conclusion is that either way, the survival of the popularity of the power structure or the political party will be endangered if you don't do what the people want. You can only hold it for a while. Definitely, the power will shift if you're not careful. And I've always been telling people that they should study how empire collapsed. An empire will only reign for a while, but if you're not in deep with the people, then you lose it. And that is why I always marvel about the British political monarchical system, because they are very quick to understand what the people are saying, and they are very quick to adapt.
Yes.
If you look at what happened to the Shah in Russia, they were not quick to understand.
And the thing changed.
And it changed, and they lost it forever.
They blew them up.
You understand, forever.
So killed all of them.
You must understand that power is transient, and power belongs to the people. So you must try, within the context of reality, social reality, and economic reality, to make sure that you are in tune with the people if you don't want to lose power.
Do you think what Buhari has now said is actually a beginning of reckoning?
He has said it before. Maybe you
No,
forgot.
not like this. It has not generated it. He has been talking about it. He has been complaining about it, complaining about local government. He complained about it even before he became president. That, look, these local governments ought to stand on their own. But it's a military thing. Buhari, even during the time of the military, they were looking at local government as a separate unit from the states. So they didn't practice the federalism that we practice constitutionally now. They were looking at local governments as separate from the state, and they're giving them monies separate from the states, and they organize it. So Buhari is coming from that tradition. I've been saying it. But he has never said it with such political firestorm as he said it this time.
It's not a firestorm. He said it within the narrative that he has always said it in the past. Perhaps it's because of the time that we are in now.
Exactly.
That the time is very fluid, and is always very sensitive. When you drop such statements, the ripples goes very far. But like I said before, if any party will remain in power, then more powers, more independence must be given to local government. And that's why I'm very happy with Ashwaju's program that he has said he will make sure that local government has more powers. And in giving more powers, it means that local government will have more monitoring, will also have more funding, and more capacity to operate. And beyond that, I will believe that the same system that INEC is using now must also be deployed to the local government so that people will be able to sit right and understand that gone are those days whereby you have your way amongst the people. Because the last thing we want to see is people uprising at the local government level. That kind of revolution will not be able to be contained.
Do you think that we'll ever get to the point where local government will be independent, autonomy, having that autonomy? Because this is something that has been spoken about over the years, yet we are not seeing perhaps the push, even from the local government chairman and the bodies meant to push for this themselves.
You see, when people talk about local government, autonomy, I tend to sit back like I'm doing that. I'm like, Local government are autonomous. Take it or leave it. They have the autonomy. Look, let's assume no fund is given to local government, and you're put there as a local government chairman. Are you saying you cannot create water from thin air? Are you saying you can't create something from nothing? Same thing happened to some governors in the country, whereby they are so much independent of federal allocation. It's about the person. It's about how you are able to manage the human being and, of course, manage the society that you find yourself in and create something. You understand? Local government also have the ability to create internally generated revenue. There are some local governments that are predominantly agro. You understand? Within the area they find themselves. So why can't you partner with people, the private sector, to come in to develop your space? Nobody is stopping you. I just gave you an example of my relationship with foreign government and all of that. I never had to go through the Ministry of International Affairs or whatever affairs in Nigeria, or have to take a fiat from the governor or what have you. I simply put up a program and reached out. So that is autonomy. Nobody is stopping you. So the people themselves must understand that, look, let's develop our local government out of the whims and caprices of where we find ourselves, either in the state or in the federal.
It's just like the mayors in some of these cities abroad who have turned their cities into some islands of prosperity, places like Chicago, places in New York, and so on and so forth. This controversy, came from the assertion of the Minister of Power, Clement Agba, that the states have kept rural Nigeria in the lurch because they concentrate on cities, building airports, elephant projects that give them money rather than take care of the rural areas. Talk about the rural poor and their alienation.
You see, at the local government, people just require basic things: health, water, education, and all. You don't need state government to help you in those things. You don't. When I came in, I met fewer doctors. I met one doctor. One doctor. When I came in 2008, the first thing I understood that I needed to do is to reach out, right? Now, I discussed with the NYSC. I need doctors. And they said there are fewer doctors. I said, okay, can we have an exchange? I said, if we will give you 5 doctors, it means that you're going to take about 100 plus NYC core members. I said, no problem. I still remain, in history, the local government chairman that paid 100,000 naira per doctor to stay at the riverine. And in the upland, I'll pay you 70,000. And at some point, they were giving me about 20 doctors. In exchange for that 20 doctors, I would take about 240 NYC core members. And I was paying over 7 million naira. And the least core member is 20,000. If you're a nurse, engineer, I pay you 50,000. If you're a doctor, I give you 100,000, like that, and give them incentives. Then I went to the military, also got some intern from them that will go on IT and all of that. So that is why I told you that nobody is limiting you. You just have to think out of the box.
What you said reminds me of when I visited Maiduguri, when the President, Senator Kashim Shettima was governor. You know, it was in the height of the insurgency. And it took took me to visit where some NYSC medics were living. They gave them special accommodation because they were doctors, and in order to keep them and to retain them because of the urgency of their what do you call it, of their value to society. So they were able to keep them there, give them special accommodation, give them homes and special security and so on. So that protests your point that if you want to get people to do things, you have to come with the ideas and you have to come with the structure. Well, is it the problem when a local government chairman is living in Lagos when he's supposed to be in Niger Delta? When he's living in Lagos, then he's supposed to be in one of the southeast states. I'm talking of two people I know exactly. How would you generate the idea that you want to create doctors? You don't even know whether there's a doctor. You don't know whether there's an NYSC. It's not because the governor has put him there. The governor has said your allocation is in my hand. And there's no really job to do other than the fact that you receive your salary every month. Maybe I give you some money, as Buhari said. Buhari said, if your allocation is 100 million, it's okay, 50 million is your own, and 50 million is my own. After that arrangement, what else? I take my 50 million, I come to Lagos, enjoy myself, until my term is done. Yes.
Well, I have a different view to that. Let's even assume that that is the case.
Are you saying Buhari is not saying the truth?
No. I've not said that. I said I have a different view. I'm just following your narrative. Let's assume that that is the case, that you are kept there. Who kept who there did not keep the brain in his pocket, the brain of the people, the person that was kept there. You have the liberty now, you understand, to demonstrate. Now, riding on your conclusion, I remember a guy called Jide. That was the first test case of the doctor that we took to the riverine. Jide refused to go. I had to embark on the boat, went there with Jide, that look, I've gotten you a 2-bedroom flat, new flat, furnished it very well, kitchen utensils, gas, everything, even mobile phone, filled it, and I gave Jide 70,000 naira, right? But what be thou you? If you leave this riverine area, I will report you. You can only leave during the weekend, and the baile must call me that you are leaving because I've given you everything with generator, fuel, everything. When Jide started, it was rough. But after some few months, Jide refused. Even when I left, Jide was still there. Jide was still there. Jide will be somewhere listening now. Jide now became so acquainted with the people. Right. Even some call members were coming to say, oh, don't post us to the upland, take us to the riverine. Because one, the pay was much. I built doctor's lodge and all of these things to keep them there. So the condition, you must create a condition that it will attract people for them to stay. So when you do that, then the system will manage itself. So even if people are kept there, they've not kept your brain, they've not kept your will. You can use that to create something that will be beneficial for you at the long run.
So how is it, talk to us about you getting to understand at that time the needs of the people. How were you able to, identify, integrate with these people such that you were able to identify and know what to do at the time?
Well, let me say I was privileged and fortunate. One, I've lived within my community since 1978. I was a student activist.
So staying within the community is key?
Is key because you get to understand the environment. I was a student union leader. I was an activist and all that. And I had the privilege to have worked under the founding fathers of the Nigerian state, like late Chief Anthony Enahoro. I was mobilization officer and secretary to him. Late Dr. Becker and Kuti. I was secretary to him at the June 12 coalition, and I was secretary to Professor Wale Soyinka at the Citizens Forum. So all of this discussion, and I've moved closer to Chief Gani Fawemi and all of that. So many of the things that we have been discussing, looking at how Nigeria would be, now I had an opportunity to practicalize all of these things. So,
all right. So we'd like to hear more specifics because there might be some persons, and this might even help some persons know how to hold their people they put in power to account, especially when they are not delivering. You talked about how you hired or you brought in NYC doctors to come into the state to do what is necessary, and that if you are put in a position, your brain is not something that is taken from you. You should come with the initiative to deliver. Then the people can even trust you, in fact, to work with you, collaborate with you, and you deliver on what it is that you want for the people. So for specifics, how you were able to address the issue of health, perhaps issue of what the people needed in terms of perhaps education, perhaps water, light, and all of that, how you were able to address that. We've heard about health. Let's look at other areas.
Other areas is security. You see, as a head of a political system, you must be part of that system. You must be living in that system, and you must come with a plan. You don't just get elected in office, then you now start trying to, develop a plan. You must have a roadmap before coming into government. And you must know what you're going to do per quarter and all of that. So when you have your plan, the next thing you need to do is call a meeting of the people, like a town hall meeting. You read out to them your plan. Your plan must be in sync with the social reality on ground because you are living with them. So they must also come into your plan. And part of your plan, one, is to safeguard life and property. Now, as part of someone who lives among them, of course, you know the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Absolutely.
And you know the language they speak. And you must be able to work with the various security agencies that you have within your constituency. Like I normally will have a regular Security Council meeting every month. Now, naturally, because of the way our security architecture is, they will not come together except there's an equator, a political leader in the middle to attract them, like the police, the DSS, the NSCDC, the immigration, and all of that. They have no conjoining point. So the political head is the conjoining point. You bring them together. They share intelligence. And you bring in the religious groups, the faith groups. Because I've come to understand one thing in this mundane that we find ourselves here, that people tend to be very respectful when they either get to the church or they get to the mosque or they get to the shrine. So at that point, you meet them, one, for security reasons and to generate revenue. You push your program there. You allow the pastor speak to them or the imam, and you gather information from them. So what did I do? I brought everybody into the Security Council meeting. So whatever the security agencies need to get, they get. Whatever the civil class need to push, we push, and we work in unison, right? You move away from there. You also look at the various demography, the youth, the women, and all of that. You need to empower them. If you don't empower them, that is where you have your challenges from. Now, those little empowerment that you overlook is very important. And what did I do? Working with the Lagos State government, they had the LASMI, the Lagos State Microfinance Institution. Then I brought in a microfinance bank. Then the local government brought in counterpart funding. We came together and we're giving loans to people at 1.5% of interest without collateral. The only people that will collateralize you are the heads of the community, either your imam or the pastor or whoever, or the head of the CDA, the community association that is there, because they know you, they can vouch for your character, right? Then you create jobs. The job you create might be auxiliary job, non-pensionable job. I created over 1,000 non-pensionable jobs, from sweepers to doctors, to consultants in education, to engineers, and all of that. And you do a staff verification every month. There's no begging in my time that, oh, I'm sorry, because the verification is 5 days. So if you don't come within that 5 days, two things have happened. Either you don't have a friend, you're not friendly, for somebody to tell you what is happening, or you are a ghost worker.
Right.
And in the system, there's no ghost worker there because you'll be paid by the banks. Now, move away from there. You also look at opportunities, right? You must be able to shop for opportunities for your people. You must train them. If you don't train them, you're going to have a problem. Then you must invest in sports, right? I will not want to mention their name as a corporate organization. We partner with them, right, to organize a weekly sporting competition for people to burn energy. Then in the schools also, for me, it became a crime to see a pupil sweep in the primary school. So what did I do? employ 2 cleaners and 1 gardener, and make sure that I rehabilitated all the 22 primary schools and built more, and all of that. So you must find a way to engage people and everything function. And I also leverage on CSR, on the social responsibility, corporate responsibility. All the banks were made and companies were made to give CSR and all of that, either through employment or taking care of your environment.
So local government chairmen do not have an excuse after all.
If you doubt it, I have a documentary that was done by the Gibademosi on the YouTube.
Nobody really has any excuse, because once you are put in a position, you have to get the job done.
Definitely.
You have to get it done. It's the problem with us. Sometimes we think that money is what you need to get job done. No, but you need ideas. Ideas will draw money.
Yeah.
That's how money. I had an uncle who used to say that money is very lazy. That all you need to do is find out its weak point, and then you can get it. You can get it, and it comes only through ideas and through understanding of the society. But tell us about the rural poor. Sometimes what we call poverty to the rural people is not poverty. What we call wealth is not wealth to them. Sometimes what we call poverty is not really poverty.
You see,
the rural poor. What do they call the rural poor?
Poverty is diverse. But let's focus on the rural poor. The rural poor is not asking for too much. They're only asking for basic things: primary health, water, access to funds, cooperative funding, and they can cascade on their own. So as a local government chairman, like when I was there, I worked with Fadama, right? With the Fadama people, I was able to work with some rural farmers and give them access to funds, and also empower them with some of their basic needs, like the fishermen. Some I bought outboard engines, so big outboard engines for them at the cooperative level. Then those ones involving vegetable growing and all of these things, to give them access to funds. And so it's just basic. You understand? And some you give access to training. If you can help train them, you improve on their capacity and they leverage on their own.
Right.
If you can improve the human capacity, who tells you that they can't even become multimillionaires?
All right. One quick question before we let you go, and we'll need you to answer that in seconds. How can the people hold these persons to account? Quickly.
The people must continue to talk among themselves, right? The more you talk, the more you can aggregate your thoughts and aggregate your strength, so that whenever your elective representative is not doing well, your strength is there. You either go to protest or you occupy the place and you make noise.
All right, former chairman, rather.
And you don't vote.
That's an Aluta.
No, it is not Aluta. It's not Aluta. It's calling for power. Because the politician must understand that every 4 years, you come back to renegotiate power with the people.
All right. We have to leave it here now, Comrade Ayodele Adewale, for your time on the program.
Thank you for having me.